This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome to the Brave Healing Podcast, where we are changing the world one brave word at a time. I am Laura DeFranco, the owner of Brave Healer Productions, and I'm really excited to be having a conversation with writer and poet Tobal daGriot today. Oh my gosh, you guys, wait till you hear the poetry he is going to share with us today. But let me tell you a little bit about this incredible guest. As an American, Tobal loves to use his creativity to share his experience, strength, and hope with people to help them understand not only the dangers of addiction, but the fact that it does not have to be the end of someone's potential life. As Chief Encouragement Officer, okay, I'm stealing that, of Raisin to Bottom Productions, Tobal seeks to encourage, enlighten, and motivate people with poetry, songs, and storytelling. And you guys know I'm going to hook you up in the show notes with his website, raisintobottom.com. Welcome, Tobal.
Thank you very much, Laura. Glad to be here.
Okay, listen, I think the first time I saw you speak poetry was an event that Kaniki Jakarta had in Alexandria. I'm blanking on it was a fundraiser and I'm blanking on which one it was, but I remember listening to your story before you spoke your amazing poetry, and I felt like I was sitting there with my mouth half open. And so like I don't know, part of me was so impressed by you because it was the combination of intense story with the very kind and soft-spoken manner you stood there to share it with. And so thank you so much for being here today.
Wow, I enjoy it. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about that story. I know it's hard because these stories are long, but give me a little bit of the short version of how you got to this place today, sharing about yourself, about your journey, about addiction. Give us a little bit of that.
I believe the story that you're talking about was called Resurrection.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah, and so that, everything as far as I'm concerned begins with truth and introspection. And so I was sharing that story because all of my life is a learning experience that I look back on, and I share the challenges that I have experienced. And the truth of the matter is, I'm looking for those people who have the shared experience so that, we can make a connection. Um, Addiction is a life and death situation to me. And by virtue of the fact that I have made it through that particular challenge, I just hope that I can help some other people through that challenge. And more importantly, maybe prevent some people from going into it as deeply as I was caught up. And so that's the whole point, because in the rooms where I began the journey, they often talk about trying to prevent some younger people from enduring the last 10 or 15 years of the horror of addiction by simply sharing our story. And if we can do that, we could potentially, even if it's only one, we may save one life. So that's my motivation.
And one is enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I
I've
do
been
know.
blessed. Yeah, I've been blessed. Some people have actually come to me and expressed their gratitude for what I've shared.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Of course they have. To be brave enough to share it is a thing. Like, do you remember when you began that particular part of the journey where you were actually standing up in front of people?
Believe it or not, Laura, it's part of my growth, because my poetry life began at my grandfather's church. I was about 12 years old, and out of all his grandchildren, my grandfather, who was a Baptist preacher, chose me to do poetry. Didn't want to do it. Absolutely didn't. And so I did not practice. I didn't want to do it. And so when the day came for me to do it and he called me up, I didn't know what to say. Most embarrassing thing in my entire life, and my cousins all laughed at me for years.
Oh man.
So I had, this stage fright, and I didn't want to do it. So what happened in my recovery was I had to face the fears of my life. When I started writing poetry, I would give it to other people to share, and they would mess it up.
Mm.
And I got upset, and I said, well, I'll do it myself, which called for me to stand up in front of people.
Yes.
So I can literally remember seeing my sleeves shaking when I started this journey, and over time it got better. And so what I'm speaking about is I know for a fact that people can face this challenge, and you can get through it, and you can get better over time. At first, I actually had to have a couple people on stage with me, and that helped me a lot.
I'm encouraged by hearing people's stories about public speaking because, I shook like a leaf for a while before that got easier. I enjoy, what I do, I think you'll get this. I think of that one person. And so if anybody in front of me, even just one of those people is helped by my words, whether I'm shaking or not, doesn't matter. And I can get over myself and that kind of fear and just express for that purpose. It really is a game changer, I think, when you're on this, speaking journey.
Yes, absolutely.
So teach me something about how writing can help with addiction.
Well, I believe it's transformative because when I'm collecting my thoughts, let me tell you about an experience that I had once when I went into treatment. I was somewhat of a zealous um, person in the recovery rooms and in treatment, and so we had to write about ourselves, and so we wrote about ourselves before addiction, during addiction, and after addiction, just to make a connection with the story. We can connect with our past and we can see our behaviors and all of these things. Well, I was doing very well. And so I spent extra time because I started to write about things that I didn't truly understand. And one night I started to write an essay about faith.
Hmm.
And in the writing, I wrote that faith is a product of belief, trust in a belief that something can happen. And in that process, I remember saying, if we as human beings have free will and we can choose to do good or evil, then God must have a certain amount of faith in us to do good. And I remember when I wrote that, my hand started shaking and a feeling went up my arm all the way to my heart and soul. And I started crying because the thought that God loves us so much that he would have that much faith in us, I was overwhelmed. And I believe that became the root of an unshakable faith. And I believe that no matter what happens in this world, we'll be all right.
Well, I think you know that I am a lover of writing to feng shui the soul. And I really believe that in the healing process of the therapeutic kind of journaling you're talking about,
Yeah.
and just moving what's down near your heart out through the fingers to the pen to the paper, just that energy shift. And then I loved what you just said about then you're recognizing your own behaviors because you're actually writing them down.
Yes.
it's an awareness tool,
I
right?
yes, it is. I was able to put two and two together. I started to understand because I'll tell you, when I was 9 years old, my mother asked me a question that I never could answer. And she said, "Boy, how can you be so smart and so dumb at the same time? Why would you ask a kid a question like that?" I never got that. But
Uh-huh.
when I when I was in treatment and started to write about myself, the answer became clear as a pattern emerged. What I saw was that um, when it came to books and learning subjects in school, I could excel at that. Uh, I looked smart. When it came to sports, playing games, I could excel at that, and I appeared smart. When it came to creativity, making things, fixing things, and figuring out these things, I could do that and excel at that, and I was very smart. But when it came to emotional situations and I had to make a decision, I wasn't good at that, and I looked dumb. I did not recognize the gravity of situations all the time, and so I didn't know what to do or the proper course of action. And so I would do dumb stuff. And so that was the difference. And
You and a lot of other people, don't worry.
and so I understand, and so I try my best not to react when I'm in an emotional situation,
Hmm.
and not to act what I feel like acting like initially. I will wait because I don't know if my uh, actions are appropriate for a situation. So I had to learn a little bit of prudence.
It's so important. That's a skill and it's a practice,
Yeah.
to be able to respond to the stuff of life that can be incredibly stressful, anxiety provoking, intense, traumatic,
Yeah.
and to actually feel the feeling and not react automatically in that trigger,
Yeah.
you know?
It's a major thing to me, uh, because my ego tells me that I am right about everything that I think.
Of course.
And it was a traumatic experience for me to find out that I'm not as smart as I think I am.
Hmm.
And even more hard for me to accept that I might have a mental problem.
Mm, yeah.
And so I actually am taking medication for anxiety and depression, which helps balance me out. And and so um, wow, it was a hard pill to swallow for an egomaniac like me to admit that I am not perfect. So that helps me a lot nowadays.
Well, that's also a hard thing to talk about. So I appreciate you bringing it up. So you've been living sober for a while now. How long has that been, and what does it take to stay that way? You've been on quite a journey.
Well, actually, August the 19th, I'll celebrate 25 years without drinking or drugs.
Wow,
And so,
congratulations.
yeah, and so it's just accepting the fact that it's a decision that I make every day. Until now, I've gotten to the point where I'm taking that decision for granted. It's just the way I live.
Hmm.
In the beginning, it was a hard decision because of the phenomenon of craving that comes. But once you learn how not to respond to the craving, over time it gets easier, and then you start to live, simply put, without drinking and drugging.
Hmm.
And so I live that way now, and I enjoy every bit of each day. It's just gratitude for life and the freedom that comes along with not having to search for drugs every day.
Gratitude is part of a self-care practice. What do you think the most important thing for our viewers to know, is to know about their own self-care practice, their own healing journey?
important as I'm concerned. Being grateful about this life helps you to enjoy little things. And when you have a mind like mine, you see a big picture. But a psychologist told me, I didn't know this. A psychologist told me that I needed to learn how to appreciate the little things in life. And so that's just sunshine and listening to the birds singing and seeing a child laugh. Or, you know, it's little things that I would ordinarily overlook. And so a part of that and that gratitude helps me daily with my value system. Along with that is there's a tool that I use. They call it humility. And I find that it helps me a lot when I just don't get involved with some stuff. I just remain humble to a lot of stuff.
Mm.
And just like in driving, because I can get into road rage, right? And sometimes I find that if I just let people do what they do and understand that they're going to do it, well, that helps me get to where I'm going a lot more peaceful. And these tools help me with emotional buildup because you can't avoid it. It's like oil in your car. It's going to get dirty. You're going to go out here in life, and there's going to be a lot of toxic situations you'll find yourself in, but you don't have to always get involved. You know, sometimes you can just let people do what they do and be where they are. It's very important that I have to watch me, uh, and
Definitely.
I have to be careful what I do so that I'm not all caught up in stuff.
Well, I'd imagine this has been an important part of your recovery process. You say, regardless of how far you've fallen, any person can recover if they give themselves a chance. Talk to me about recovery a little bit.
Best thing that ever happened to a guy like me, I would say for a guy like me. I'm absolutely blessed, and I don't think there's anyone who could have sunk lower and had as much a challenge as I have. I think actually what I have lived is miraculous because uh, it began so early in my life. I'm one of those people who I had a mother who gave me my first drink. She gave me my first drink when I was a baby, crying on the bed. Her answer to my tears was a milk bottle with sugar and scotch in it.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up drinking. Uh, and so, believe it or not, the very first time someone told me that if I came into the program, I will never be able to drink again. When I first heard that, that was a crushing blow, and I felt so hurt and sad. I couldn't function for a minute. So I went to a psychologist and told him about that, and he told me that what I experienced or what I felt was akin to what a person feels when they're losing their best friend. And I was surprised, but I had to go through a process of grieving because alcohol was about to leave my life. And I hadn't realized that growing up, I had used alcohol so much in so many situations just to feel a part of, whether it was a party so that I could dance, or to drink so that I could talk to girls, or just to fit in with my peer group and do the things that we did. I needed to drink, and alcohol was the salve for me and my fears, and enabled me to do so. When you take that away from me, I did not know how to function, and it was a process for me to learn how to function.
Wow, yeah, process to say the least, I would imagine. And here you are 25 years later, celebrating life, celebrating moments, the little moments. I so hear you about the birds singing. That's one of mine too.
Oh man.
And also, you know, you took it a step further because a lot of people will be on that journey for themselves, and you have to be. But not everybody takes it a step further to teach others. And so I'm grateful to you for being one of those people to then know that that was a gift you could share with others. So it's a big deal.
Well, I can't think of anything better to do with my life.
Now, listen, we've been in lockdown and we haven't been able to gather at our usual open mic nights and the events and things. What's happening in your world right now? What do you have going on? What are you doing online? Tell me.
Well, I had intended to begin my virtual variety show because for 8 years I was doing my variety show and filming all of the shows. Lots of people would say they were coming, but they didn't make it. But that didn't stop me from filming the shows. And so what I was going to do was break down my videos and just post performances in a virtual variety show. But I've also um, I've been learning how to shoot videos. So
Cool.
I'm starting my own internet advertising company where I shoot people's videos for their business. It's like a commercial that they can post across social media. So
Perfect.
that's my intent. That's the direction I'm going actually when I retire from my job. Right now, I'm also A+ certified technician. So in my spare time, I fix people's computers for a fee, and I shoot videos and I fix computers, and I just get online and post some of my performances. And when people reach out, if someone reaches out, I have a story to tell you. Believe me.
I believe you. I believe
Yeah,
you.
I do.
Okay, I got one more question to ask you, and then I would love to wrap up our show today with a poem after that.
Okay.
And the question goes something like this. What do you love to do so much you lose track of time?
Oh, watch television, probably.
What's your favorite show?
Oh, well, I don't know if I have a favorite show,
No
but
favorite?
I have favorite genres.
Okay.
I love horror movies. I love kung fu movies.
Ah, okay.
I love action movies. Uh,
Awesome.
I'm just a TV bug. Couch potato. If I could be a couch potato and earn a living, oh, that would be the dream job.
All right, Tobal, take us out of here with a poem, would you?
Sure. I like to go to the root of my illness because it began in my childhood. And I remember when I first wrote this particular piece, I couldn't do it because it made me cry.
Mm.
And my performance manager, I told him, I said, man, I can't do this. It makes me cry. He said, why'd you write it then? I said, because it's the truth of my life. He said, well, there it is. Then you have to perform it. So
Uh,
I have a piece that I call a prophecy or something like that.
okay.
It goes like this. It's because of what I heard when I was a kid. It goes, you ain't never going to be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. You're your father's son, so you're just another one. You ain't never going to be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. You're your father's son, so you're just another one. I reached out to the doorknob, opened the door, and began to run, running away from the fear that gripped my heart pounding fast in my chest, distressed, a state of duress. My feet hit the street, pounding the concrete at the same beat as my heart, boom, 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 running away from my hurting soul. And though only 5 years old, I understand. See, I can't stand the rain on my parade. I can't stand the pain that's inlaid. You see, I look up to those who look down on me. I want you to love me. I need you to love me. But all I get is he ain't never gonna be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. He's his father's son, so he's just another one. As I grew, running became my habit, searching for love and had to have it. There's a hole in my soul, I need to patch it. I'm becoming psychopathic. Here, drink this. It'll put hair on your chest. But after many years of drinking, I ain't seen that hair yet. Just another lie at best. You want to feel good, youngin'? I got something. Bring your money in. I'll be your friend. Well, I've never felt good before. What's that like? Well, I'm Dr. Feel Good, and this is my hype. And as he emptied the spike, I felt warm all over, and my heartbeat was slower, and my soul was sinking. But I still didn't feel good, because someone was screaming, you ain't never gonna be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. You're your father's son, so you're just another one. Now I got to grind to get mine. See, I know how to slow my heartbeat and make my soul sing. So I beg, borrow, and steal. I beg, borrow, and steal, but it's not working. It's still hurting. So I beg for more money to buy anything to stop my hurting soul. I beg for freedom from my obsession, because I just can't let go. I beg the morning sun, please, shine on my parade. I beg and I borrow. I beg and I borrow. I borrow time to find what I need from life's education. I borrow moments of pleasure from superficial relations. I borrow space in places surrounded by concrete and steel. I steal. I beg, borrow, and steal. Steal around my wrists. Steal around my waist. Steal around my ankles. I steel myself against society's bitter isolation. I steel myself against feeling love that I don't have. I steel myself against words of love that I don't hear. I hear he ain't never going to be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. He's his father's son, so he's just another one. Be careful what you say to your little boys and girls, because the seeds you plant in their heads will grow into their worlds. They need all your love, and this I know is fact, or this will be their prophecy, or something like that. Every day I have to fight a demon in my mind. It says the same old thing and repeats it every time. You ain't never going to be nothing but a jailbird and a junkie. You're your father's son, so you're just another one. But here's a little truth that has turned my life around. Make it a part of head and heart, free a soul that's bound. Sticks and stones can break your bones, words kill like a gun. I finally found God's love, so I no longer have to run. Thank you for listening.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That was sad and frickin' amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I managed to hold myself together.
Tobal, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world and for being here today to share this with us.
Hey, I'm loving it. I really, really appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate what you're doing to bring guys like me to the forefront.
Wow, you guys. Okay. So let's wrap it up today. And I'm always left with when I get that poetry inside of me, there's an energy shift. I'm so thankful to Tobal for being here today and just, helping initiate that shift. So I want you guys to remember that your words will change the world when you're brave enough to share them. It's time to be brave, you guys. Until next time, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Laura.